All right, this one is for all the high achievers out there. Yeah, you. The person who's checked every single box, climbed the mountain, won the prize, only to get to the very top, look out at that view you fought so hard for, and feel this profound, creeping sense of nothing. Just an emptiness where all the celebration was supposed to be. Look, if you've ever felt that hollow victory, you need to hear this. It's not because you're broken or ungrateful. Not at all. It's because you've been sold a faulty map to fulfillment. So today, we're going to tear that feeling apart and give you a new map, a protocol designed to engineer real, sustainable satisfaction.
I mean, just think about that paradox for a second. The very peak you sacrificed everything for, the one moment that was supposed to deliver lasting happiness, and instead, it just delivers this quiet, hollow echo. This experience, it is not a personal failure. It's actually a predictable, almost universal part of being a human, especially for those of us who are driven to succeed. It's a psychological trap, and it has a name. And you know what? Understanding that name is the very first step to getting out of the trap for good.
Okay, so what is it called? It's called the arrival fallacy. Think about it. From the time we're kids, we're basically conditioned to believe that life is just a series of finish lines, right? And that real, lasting happiness is just waiting for us on the other side. You know the drill. Get the degree, land the big promotion, buy the house, hit the crazy revenue target, then, only then, will you finally be happy. But you know what? It's a lie. It's a deeply ingrained fundamental misunderstanding of how our own brains are wired. And here's the crucial point, so listen up. Our brains are neurologically incapable of finding lasting satisfaction at the finish line. That joy we're chasing, it's basically a mirage. Our minds build up this one moment for months, sometimes even years, and we pour all our hopes for happiness into it. But when we finally get there, the feeling is fleeting, if it even shows up at all. So why is that? It's because our brains didn't evolve for static contentment. They evolved for the strive. The good stuff, the satisfaction, it was never meant to be at the destination. It's a chemical process that happens during the journey. So let's get into the neuroscience of this, because it's fascinating. We're talking about something called dopaminergic spiking. Now, you've probably heard dopamine called the pleasure chemical, but that's kind of wrong. It's really the motivation chemical. See, it's released in anticipation of a reward, not when you actually get it. It's the neurochemical that drives you, that makes you hunt, that makes you pursue. It's literally the thrill of the chase. But the second you achieve the goal, the moment of the catch, that dopamine cascade just flatlines. The chase is over. And that feeling you were pursuing, it's gone too. And that's where the hollowness comes from. And you know, this isn't just about a few disappointing moments. It builds up. It becomes a bigger problem. For so many high performers, this turns into a chronic state of being. Just this restless, unending search for the next goal, the one that might finally deliver on the promise. So let's diagnose the biological reason this cycle has such a powerful grip on us. It really comes down to a fundamental mismatch between the goals we're told to chase and the way our brains are actually built. This right here, this is the invisible wall so many of us hit. It's called hedonic adaptation. So you get the big promotion, the new title, the corner office, and for a week, maybe two, it feels absolutely incredible. Your brain is just buzzing with the newness, the status. But then, really quickly, that new life just becomes normal life. Your brain just resets its baseline. That peak happiness is now the new normal, and boom, you're right back where you started, already looking for the next peak to climb. It's like a psychological treadmill, and it's designed to keep you moving, not to let you arrive. And man, is it exhausting. Okay, so this chart breaks down the two states we can live in, and it's so clear. Over on the left, you've got extrinsic saturation. This is a life spent just checking social boxes, right? Pursuing borrowed goals. Things that society, your parents, whoever, told you were important. Your happiness is completely dependent on outside outcomes. And this always leads to something called meaningful decay. It's that constant low-level hum of emptiness, even when you're supposedly winning. But now look to the right. This is the answer. This is intrinsic alignment. This is when you're following your own internal signal. You're driven by the process, not the prize, and your actions are totally in sync with your deepest values. This, right here, is the only place where sustainable satisfaction can actually exist. I'm going to say this again because this is the most important thing you need to get from this part. If that feeling of the hollow victory hits home for you, you are not broken. You are not ungrateful. It just means you're running a really sophisticated operating system, your ambition, on mismatched hardware. Your internal reward system, which is wired for meaning and purpose, is being fed a diet of external stuff, money, status, applause, and your brain just doesn't see that as real nourishment. You're not failing. Your system is just fundamentally out of sync. So the big question is, how do we fix this mismatch? How do we resync the system? Well, we can't just hope it happens. We have to engineer it. We have to do it manually. And this is the prescription, the alignment protocol. And listen, this isn't about slowing down or achieving less. No way. It's about upgrading your entire operating system. It's a solid 3-part protocol designed to literally reprogram your brain's reward system, so you shift from just waiting for the win to finding deep satisfaction in the work itself, every single day.
Okay, so here are the 3 core steps. Step 1 is the Values-Output Audit. Think of this like a forensic accounting of your own ambition. You list out every major goal you have, and you ask a tough question. Where did this come from? Is this really from my soul, or is it just something I borrowed from society? It's all about ruthlessly separating the "I should want this" from the "I deeply truly choose this." Then, step 2, the Process-Dopamine Anchor. This is where we deliberately hardwire our brains to celebrate the discipline itself, not just the result. So the victory isn't closing the deal. The real victory is making the calls. You're learning to reward the effort. And finally, step 3 is the Contribution Pivot. This is where you connect your daily work to something bigger than you. Solving a real problem, serving your community, helping another person. This is what turns a career from just a transaction into a real mission.
So what actually happens in your brain when you do this? Well, you're basically feeding it something called coherence data. You're showing your brain's internal conflict monitor, this little area called the anterior cingulate cortex, that what you believe and what you do are finally in sync. And when that part of your brain gets consistent coherence data, it powers down its high alert identity crisis mode. The result? A massive internal shift, from a life of chronic chasing to one of sustainable satisfaction. You're no longer working for a feeling, you're working from a feeling of deep alignment.
Now, to make this protocol actually stick, you've got to understand the deep neurobiology of why it works so well. Because when you get this, you'll build this biological belief in the process. It'll feel less like some self-help trick and more like a necessary system upgrade. What we're really talking about here is switching the primary fuel source that drives your ambition and your well-being. See, most high achievers were running on the wrong kind of fuel.
The old fuel, that's pure, uncut dopamine. It's that volatile, high-octane fuel of external rewards. It gives you incredible highs, for sure. The thrill of the deal, the rush of the win, the applause, but it's totally unstable. It always leads to a crash, and it demands a bigger and bigger goal next time just to get the same hit. Honestly, living on dopamine is like living on sugar and caffeine. It's just this frantic cycle of crazy highs and draining lows. It's completely unsustainable, and it leads directly to burnout.
The new fuel, on the other hand, is serotonin. Think of this as the stable, clean-burning nuclear fusion of motivation. Serotonin is all about long-term well-being, pride, that sense of calm satisfaction. It's the feeling that you're respected, that your life has meaning. It doesn't come from a one-time win. It comes from the ongoing feeling that you're living by your values, that you're in control of your life, and that you're connected to people. This is what provides that durable, sustainable well-being that doesn't just disappear when the project's over.
So let's really break down this fuel switch. As you can see, dopamine comes from the outside world, a bonus, a trophy, a like on social media. Serotonin comes from the inside. Dopamine is volatile, serotonin is stable. Dopamine is all about the outcome, serotonin is found in the process. And this is crucial. Look at the driver. The driver for dopamine is just winning, simple as that. But for serotonin, it's about deeper human needs. Things like autonomy, that feeling of being in control, and relatedness, feeling connected to other people. This is the big switch from just chasing validation to actually living with vitality.
And when you make this switch, you get to a state I love called executive harmony. This is when the logical, goal-setting part of your brain and the emotional, value-driven part of your brain finally stop fighting. They start pulling in the exact same direction. Think about all the mental energy you waste on anxiety about the outcome, on the friction of pretending to be someone you're not. All of that gets freed up and reinvested into just doing excellent work. You become more present, more creative, and way more powerful.
Okay, so how do we actually get to this executive harmony? We've talked about the why, now let's get into the how. This can't just be some abstract idea. It requires a concrete, practical set of things you can do right away to start building this new wiring in your brain. And it all starts with one single, powerful practice. We call it the legacy audit.
This is it. This is the whole audit in one sentence. For every single major goal on your list, every project you're pouring your life into, you have to ask yourself this question with brutal honesty. Would I still do this if no one ever congratulated me for it? No applause? No award? No social media post to announce it? If the gut check, honest answer is no, then you've just found a meaning leak. It means you're working for the applause, not for alignment. And that, my friends, is a guaranteed recipe for emptiness. So here are 3 actionable steps you can put into your daily routine. First, make that legacy audit a regular, non-negotiable practice for all your big commitments. Second, start doing the process anchor tonight. Before you go to sleep, don't review your outcomes, don't think about what you gained, review your actions. Did I make the calls? Did I write the pages? Did I do the reps? The victory is 100% in your control. Tally your repetitions. And third, the 10% pivot. Once a week, just dedicate a little bit of your time or skill to help someone else with zero expectation of getting anything back. This forces a hard reset on your brain's focus, from what can I get to what can I give. And that is a powerful, powerful antidote to that psychological treadmill.
What this does is it reframes the entire objective of your day. The goal isn't to feel full because you won anymore. The goal is to feel full because you were right. Right with your values, right with your commitments, right with your own definition of a day well lived. And again, this isn't about slowing down, it's about gaining depth. It's about putting the integrity of the day way above the glitter of the outcome. That feeling of fullness, that's serotonin. That's alignment.
All right, let's bring this all home. This whole philosophy. It can be boiled down to a new, more powerful, and way more sustainable definition of what it actually means to be successful. But it requires a radical shift in how you measure a good life, moving from an external scorecard to an internal compass.
This, right here, is the central idea. We have all been sold a broken metric. Success, the way the outside world defines it, is a fragile and totally unreliable source of happiness. But alignment, that deep harmony between what you do and who you are, that is an unbeatable, unshakable foundation for real fulfillment. That gap you feel between your work and your joy, it's not a motivation problem. It's almost always an identity error. And alignment is the skill that closes that gap.
So here's your challenge, and I want you to do this the second this is over. Take your single biggest goal, you know the one that consumes most of your energy and attention, and run the legacy audit on it. Ask the hard question, is this really for me or is it for the applause? And if you find it's for the applause, you now know you have the power to recalibrate, to redesign, or even to replace that goal. Because listen, you can't win a game you don't actually want to be playing.
And this is what it all comes down to. A simple, powerful mantra to guide everything you do. Stop outsourcing your well-being to some distant finish line years from now. Instead, focus on achieving alignment today. Because when you master the harmony of who you are with what you do, day by day, fulfillment isn't something you have to chase anymore. It becomes the water you swim in. Win the day.